Welcome back to my car cave. As you can see, I've got two new models for you today. These are going to round out the 2023 season, actually. These will be the last two other than the Ferrari, which I do have in stock and would be pertinent or germane to today's discussion. However, I'm going to do a separate video on that. Today I have the McLaren MCL60 from the Monaco Grand Prix in a special livery, as well as the Williams Racing FW45 from the Singapore GP in the Gulf Livery. Both of these are from Spark. As you can see, they come with the acrylic covers. They come in the usual Spark shoebox package with tons of padding. I think Spark does the best job of shipping or padding their models for shipping. We've covered it in other videos, but yeah, so you get all the usual stuff you would get with Spark. And I think today what I'd like to do, rather than talk about Spark versus mini champs and the details and all that kind of stuff, I thought I'd talk more about unique liveries and one-off liveries, and collecting those, how those fit in my collection, how they don't fit in my collection, how I feel about them initially, how I feel about them later, and just kind of make a short video about that rather than some of the model specifics, and I'll show you enough of the car that hopefully you get an idea of whether you like to buy one or not. So I think what I wanted to cover today was more about the merits of collecting one-off liveries in my collection, or as it pertains to my collection, versus, say, the usual detail comparisons of Spark versus mini champs and the quality differences and that kind of stuff. I've covered a lot of that over other videos, which you can go back and look, and we'll be doing that in the future again as well. So anyways, today, again, what I'd like to do is really kind of talk about one-off liveries and how they fit in my collection, or sometimes don't fit in my collection, and just kind of talk through that for you guys. Maybe that'd be a little bit more interesting in for these particular examples. So in front of me, I have the Monaco livery for the 2023 McLaren. Neither of these races were particularly memorable, whether it was for McLaren here or for the Gulf races. So it's all about the livery, not about how the particular drivers did or performed. And that seems to be the case with most of my one-off livery cars. So again, this is McLaren's Triple Crown livery, which was helping to, recognize their achievement at the Indy 500, Monaco, and Le Mans. So in the back, you have this papaya orange to represent the 1974 Indy 500 victory by Johnny Rutherford. Then in the middle, you have this white color, which represents Alain Prost's 1984 victory at the Monaco Grand Prix in F1. And then finally, you have this kind of metallic black gray color here that represents the 1995 Le Mans victory with the McLaren F1 GTR race car. So obviously McLaren races in several different disciplines and has been successful at all of them. And so they chose this livery to represent that. You can see here they got the 3 stars for the 3 victories. It carries a special crown, Triple Crown logo with a kiwi in it. All nice little details. And I think it's a really nice car. It's got, kind of chevron references here to the way they broke up the coloration and that kind of stuff. Kind of harkens back to the, successful 90s and 80s marble paint scheme for the McLaren F1 cars. So that's kind of the McLaren example. And then here for Williams, they've been having a partnership with Gulf lately. And so last season they ran this kind of one-off livery, although they did run it in 3 consecutive races, starting in Singapore, which is this example. Then they carried it over to Japan and Qatar. I don't remember any of those races being particularly successful for Williams. And again, like I said, most of the special livery cars that I own end up is that the cars do not perform well. So these are interesting. I get super excited when they announce these things, like a lot of F1 fans, and then I anticipate seeing them in the race. They look great on TV, and then I think about, I'm going to add this to my collection, and it's going to be different than the previous ones. And then what I find is they often just do not age very well. Part of having a collection that spans one representative car from each team for each season. And the liveries are traditionally fairly similar throughout the years, with the exception of, they might have a new sponsor and they do a total hard reset. But what happens is when I get these, one-off kind of liveries, I find that when I look at the cabinet and I look at each car from season to season, I find that these just stand out, and not always in a good way. They just, they look different. The car is obviously representative of the season, but the livery is not what I think of when I think of that car for that particular season. And I've fallen into the trap of buying, the Mercedes, I think, 100-year livery, several of the Ferrari Italian liveries, or Italian GP liveries that they've done in recent years, and then even the it was Alpine. Yeah, Alpine had the pink car. I bought that, then I realized that just didn't really jive with the traditional Alpine liveries and things like that. And so I kind of just get put off by them later. Now, with this Gulf car, I obviously have a Gulf livery collection in and of itself, as standalone. And so if I all of a sudden find I'd really rather have a more traditional Williams car, then I might move this one over to the Gulf livery collection. It would fit in there just fine. I may do that with the McLaren Gulf livery from a couple years back as well. I do feel like they ran a British livery at Silverstone last year. I probably will gravitate towards that, even though that is a kind of quote unquote one off livery. It's more indicative of the general paint scheme for Williams last season in 2023. And so I probably will get that one as my permanent Williams car for the, let's call it the chronological um, display. Then for McLaren, they also ran a chrome version at the Silverstone, same British Grand Prix, and I think that's going to look super cool, and so I want to try that one as well. That one is also a little bit closer to the regular paint scheme for the season. I like it better than the regular paint scheme. I don't really particularly care for McLaren's paint scheme in 2023. So that may ultimately be the one I settle on. And then I have to decide whether this fits into my collection somewhere else. I mean, again, I do like this. I like the, Lando's helmet. I like his, let's call it the pink or the red visor. That's super unique. And so I do like that. I like the idea behind this. I obviously have the 95 McLaren winner. I'm not an IndyCar collector, so I don't have that. I do have an 84 Prost car. So, there's other tie-ins to my collection that I can justify this, but that's the problem with these. So someone who collects F1 cars, collects as many as I do. Again, my goal is to have one representative car from each team for each season, Ferrari being the exception. I am a Ferrari fanboy, so I'm more willing to collect multiple variants from that particular team as opposed to some of these other teams. So that said, those are kind of my thoughts on these kind of special liveries. They look great. I'm excited when they come out. I'm excited they are announced to be produced on 1/18 scale. But again, once I get them, I often find a year later I'm just not as happy with them as I normally would be. So curious about your thoughts as well, for you guys who collect F1, and maybe you collect multiple. If you're a McLaren fan, sure, you'd have all the variants. These guys are starting to run more and more liveries every year. It's starting to be like the helmets, where every driver has a new livery for each race. It feels like. So, that said, I'd be curious what other people do and what they think, and whether you have multiple variants of each car. I just don't have the space in my collection for that. So I often have to choose the best one that I feel is necessary. So anyways, yeah, please go ahead and in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and what you guys, you guys prefer the regular liveries for your collection, or do you also like to get these one-offs as well? If you like the video, hit like, hit subscribe, and look forward to some more videos in the future.